Rey de mi vida, tú eres hoy, en ti me gloriaré. Es por tu cruz que salvo soy, no te olvidaré. Después de tu Getsemaní, subiste a la cruz más cruel. Todo sufriste tú por mí, yo quiero serte fiel. Mas vi la luz amanecer de la eternidad. Te vi, Señor, aparecer con inmortalidad. Después de tu Getsemaní, subiste a la cruz más cruel. Todo sufriste tú por mí, yo quiero serte fiel. Rey de mi vida, Rey de luz, en ti me gloriaré. Por mí moriste en la cruz, no te olvidaré. Después de tu Getsemaní, subiste a la cruz más cruel. Todo sufriste tú por mí, yo quiero serte fiel. All right, welcome to our second Spanish class. And of course, the format of the class, we're going to go through our memory verse for the week, and we're going to go through our 10 new vocabulary words, as well as some pronunciation rules and one grammatical concept. And so, who learned the verse from last week? Who memorized Revelation 20:14? All right, who wants to stand up and say it quickly? All right, go ahead. Brother Stephanie, stand up.
Y el infierno y la muerte fueron lanzados en el lago de fuego. Esta es la muerte segunda.
Very good. All right, excellent. Muy bien. And then the only one word that was a little bit off, fueron.
Yeah, I have trouble with that.
Yeah, it's because you pronounce it almost like an IE, like fiero. It's fueron, okay? Kind of like a W sound. Anybody else want to stand up and say it?
Fueron.
All right, Junior, stand up.
Y el infierno y la muerte fueron lanzados en el lago de fuego. Esta es la muerte segunda.
Very good. El lago de fuego. El lago de fuego. Very good. Excellent. All right, you can say it after the service. Anybody else? But after the class, that is. Solomon, you want to say it?
Yeah.
All right, well, let Solomon say it. Stand up. Say it quickly.
Y el infierno y la muerte fueron lanzados en el lago de fuego. Esta es la muerte segunda.
Very good. Excellent. So listen, if you want to get the most out of this class, you're going to want to learn these verses and retain them. You know, don't forget them. Quote it every week. Quote the verses that you know. And then learn these 10 words. Who learned the 10 words? Memorize those 10 words? All right. Great. So, today's verse and vocabulary list we're going to get into. But first we're going to start with our pronunciation rules and also our grammatical concept. Now, we didn't talk about this last week, but the N with that little squiggly line over it is called a tilde. The N with the tilde over it, okay, is pronounced like NY in canyon, okay? That letter is called Nye, and it's pronounced like an N and a Y together, like in the word canyon, okay? And then the next one, the V sound. The V in Spanish is pronounced in like our English letter B, okay? So it's not vida, it's vida. Okay, and remember the D sounds like what? Who knows what the D sounds? Soft TH sound like the word the. So the word is not, it's not vida, it's vida. Okay, vida eterna. Got that? And then next, the vowel sounds. Let's review those quickly. Say them together as a class. A, E, I, O, U. And that is the only sound that those letters ever make. A, E, O, U. No exceptions to that, okay? And then remember the accent goes on the second to last syllable of the word if it ends in a vowel, an N, or an S. Otherwise, it goes on the last syllable of the word, right? So let's practice that. Let's look at our vocabulary list, okay? Nosotros. So the accent's on the second to last syllable because it ends in an S. Say it together. Nosotros, okay? The next word ends in an S as well. Somos. Somos, okay?
Somos.
And then we have only one syllable in the word they. D-E. They. Okay? And then the fourth word has a diphthong, okay, at the end there, right? I-A at the end is a diphthong. It only counts as one syllable. So the second to last syllable of la iglesia, okay? So it's la iglesia is where the accent's going to fall.
Iglesia.
The word Baptist is bautista. Escrito means written. El libro is the book. La vida, the life or life. El lago, the lake. And el fuego means fire, right? So we got that. Now let's go through our verse together. Revelation 20:15 reads, Y el que no fue hallado, remember the H is silent, hallado escrito en el libro de la vida, fue lanzado en el lago de fuego. Okay? So, some interesting things here. The double L sound in hallado is pronounced like a Y. Two L's in Spanish, pronounced like a Y. Okay? So, y el que, QU is making a K sound. Y el que no fue hallado escrito en el libro de la vida fue lanzado en el lago de fuego. Okay? So a lot of the same words as our verse last week. So it shouldn't be too hard to learn this verse if you learned last week's verse. Revelation 20:15 and then last week we were in 14. Now we talked about the diphthongs. They count as one syllable. You run them together. Anytime you see two letters together without an accent mark, you have a diphthong, and they get pronounced together and they count as one syllable. Okay? Now, the grammatical concept that we're going to talk about today is the fact that the adjective usually comes after the noun in Spanish, right? So if we wanted to say the Baptist Church, we would actually say La Iglesia Bautista, right? That's how we'd say the Baptist Church, La Iglesia Bautista. Now, who's ever been in church and you've heard pastors who go back to the Greek and they say that the Greek word for church is ekklesia? Have you ever heard people say that before? Right? Look at this word. Can you notice that this is a word of Greek origin? It's la iglesia, ekklesia, iglesia. That's where that word comes from, just so that you know. So let's say we were to use the noun taco, all right? And let's say we wanted to say that it was a good taco, okay? And what's the word for good? Anybody know? Bueno, right? So how would you say that? Because remember, the adjective, this is what we're learning about today. The adjective comes after the noun, right? So if you want to say the good taco, how would you say that? Anyone want to try it?
El taco bueno.
El taco bueno, right? Okay? So, the good taco. La Iglesia Bautista. Okay. So, look at our vocabulary verse. We can form a sentence here. Okay? We want to say, we are from the Baptist church. You know, because we're knocking doors, right? We're out soul winning. And we want to say, hey, we're here from the Baptist church. We want to invite you to church. So, we're going to say this. Nosotros somos de la Iglesia Bautista. You got that? We are, nosotros somos, they means from or of, la Iglesia Bautista. So we're from the Baptist church, is how we say it. So, let's go ahead and try that. Let's say that whole sentence together, okay? Nosotros somos de la Iglesia Bautista. One more time. Nosotros somos de la Iglesia Bautista. Okay? We are from, literally you're saying we are from the church Baptist, but Baptist comes after because the adjective comes after in Spanish. You got that? Okay? Now let's look at our verse and talk about it. Because it's going to be easier to memorize the verse if you understand what it means. Okay? So the verse says, what did we learn last week that the word means? And. Okay? In fact, let's go, who wants to come up and demonstrate? Brett, why don't you come up here? We're going to demonstrate last week's conference. Did you learn your vocabulary, Brett? All right. See. Now, let's practice our conversation that we learned last week. Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo está usted?
Muy bien. ¿Y usted?
Bien, gracias.
Adiós.
Okay. Muchas gracias. So, he basically said, we basically, hello, how are you? I'm doing very well. And you? Very well, thank you. Okay? So, today we're going to use some of those same words. Y él que no. So y means and. El means he. Okay? Y el que no, that no fue hallado escrito. Now, look at the vocabulary list. What does the word escrito mean? Written. So basically it's saying, and he that no was found written. Got that? Y el que no fue hallado escrito, hallado means found, en el libro. What do you think that means? En el libro. In the book, right? En el libro de la vida, of life, right? Because la vida means life, okay? Now, Spanish and English are not always going to use the at the same point. Because life is not something that there could be, more than one of usually. So sometimes they'll just call it la vida, the life, basically, just to refer to what we would consider just life. The book of life, el libro de la vida. Okay, you got that? So it's, y el que no fue hallado escrito en el libro de la vida fue lanzado. What do we say fue meant? Pretty much was, okay? Like it was not found written. Now it's saying fue lanzado, was cast, okay? Fue lanzado en el lago, in the lake de fuego, of fire. So does everybody understand the meaning? Any questions about the meaning of the verse? Y el que no fue hallado escrito en el libro de la vida fue lanzado en el lago de fuego. And remember last week's verse, y el infierno y la muerte fueron lanzados. Same word here as lanzado, right? Fueron lanzados en el lago de fuego. Esta es la muerte segunda. Okay, everybody got that? So, y el que no fue hallado escrito en el libro de la vida fue lanzado en el lago de fuego. Okay, so let's talk quickly about diphthongs again to make sure that we understand. Okay, and accent marks and pronunciation. Okay, what does this word mean? I'm going to write it real big here. What does this word mean right here?
This.
E-S-T-A.
This.
This, okay? And how is it pronounced?
Esta.
Not esta.
Esta.
Esta. Because remember, the vowels always make the sounds a, e, o, u. Always. So this is pronounced esta. It has how many syllables?
Two.
2 syllables, okay? This is the first syllable, this is the second syllable. Okay? There is no accent mark. It ends in an A, therefore the accent comes on the second to last syllable. So it's pronounced esta, okay? Now, there's another word that's very similar. It's got an E-S-T-A, but it has an accent mark on the A. The accent mark overrides the normal rules of accenting in Spanish. So this, still 2 syllables, divided right there, está, okay? Totally different word. What does this word mean? Is or are, depending on how you use it, okay? So it's esta means this, está means is or are. It's a state of being verb. So now, go ahead and erase that. Let's do a word that's a little bit bigger, a little bit larger, okay? Let's try the word church that we're learning today. Iglesia, okay? Now how many syllables do we have here in the word iglesia?
3.
3 syllables, okay? We're going to divide it right here. Okay? So we've divided the word into 3 syllables. Iglesia. Okay? You got that? So, it ends in an A. If it ends in an A, E, I, O, U, N, or S, the accent's going on the second to last syllable. So, this is only 1 syllable. It's not iglesia. Okay? It's iglesia. So this is where our accent's going to go right here. Iglesia. Okay? Another word that we could use from last week would be the word muerte. Okay? Again, 2 syllables. This is a diphthong. Okay? It's pronounced together. Muerte. Okay, not muerte, but it's run together. Muerte. This is the last letter. This is the second to last syllable. Is going to get the accent. Muerte. Okay, any questions about that? Everybody got that? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Now, what is the word that we use to describe two letters that are together that do not have an accent mark that are run together into one sound? What's that word? Diphthong. This is how you spell that word. Okay? D-I-P-H-T-H-O-N-G. Alright? Diphthong. Okay? Now, the reason that we're teaching grammar in this class and not just teaching you how to say the phrases only is because it's a lot easier to learn verses and sentences if you understand why things are the way they are. Not just this is how to say it, but why do we say it that way? Now, the reason that that's so important too is because part of the purpose, I feel, of learning a foreign language is to improve your skill in English. And when you learn Spanish, you're going to learn the importance of nouns, verbs, prepositions, subject-verb agreement, and so forth that will help you with your English. Okay? Now, we have a little extra time here because a lot of this is just a review and we've already gone over the pronunciation, we've already gone over the grammar. But what about this combination of letters right here, the double L? How do we pronounce that? Like a Y, right? Okay. Now, in English, we're going to talk about some other letters that can be pronounced two different ways. Okay? In English, how many different ways can this letter be pronounced? The letter C. By itself, I guess we could say. By itself, it can be pronounced two different ways, right? It can make a K sound, and it can make a S sound. Now, you may not know the rule for this, but there is actually a rule. If it has one of these letters coming after it, an A, or an O, or a U, it makes the K sound, okay? If it has an I or an E after it, that's when it makes the S sound, okay? Now, same thing with this letter, G, right? G makes two sounds, okay? It can make a G sound or a J sound. Same letters. These are the hard vowels, these are the soft vowels. G-A makes a G sound, go, gun, gate, etc. Here, gentle, gentleman, everybody understand? Now there are exceptions, like for example, we have the word gill, G-I-L-L, makes a G sound. But in Spanish, there are no exceptions. In English, there are exceptions with those kind of letters, but in Spanish, there are no exceptions. So, let's say we have the word in Spanish, ganarse, okay? Now look, it's a G, it has an A after it, it makes the G sound. Now let's say we have another word in Spanish, G-E-N-T-E, gente, which means people, okay? Now, instead of making a J sound, we're going to have a H sound, like an H, okay? So a G makes two sounds in Spanish. It can make a G sound or an H sound. It's the same letters as in English. If it has an A, an O, or a U, it's going to be the G sound. If it has an E or an I, it's going to be the H sound, like gente. Okay, you got that? Same thing with the letter C, okay? Let's say we had the word for heaven, okay, which is cielo. Now, if we see this word written down, the first thing we notice, it's got what? Two syllables, okay? Ends in an O. Accents on the second to last syllable, which is a diphthong. Ye, cielo, okay? But the reason that we pronounce the C with an S sound is because there's an I coming after it, okay? But if we were to take another word, like for example the word that means with in Spanish, cone, because it has an O, it's going to make a K sound, because there's a C after it. Does everybody understand that? The difference between the hard vowels and the soft vowels? So, let's go through the alphabet together. How do we pronounce an A in Spanish? Ah. Okay? How do we pronounce this letter?
A.
Just like in English, just a B sound, a B sound. Okay? How do we pronounce the letter C? If it's an A, an O, or a U, it's going to be K. If it's an I or an E, it's going to make a S sound, right? Okay? The letter D. How do we pronounce the letter D? Like the sound, T-H, they. Okay? How do we pronounce this letter right here? A. Every time. Okay? How do we pronounce the letter F? Just like English. Same as English, okay? And then how do we pronounce the letter G?
Good.
If it's an A, O, or a U, it's good. If it's an I or an E, it's H, H sound, okay? How do we pronounce the letter H? We don't. Ignore it, okay? It does not, it's not pronounced, okay? How do we pronounce the letter I? E. How do we pronounce the letter J? Okay, did we talk about this one yet? No. J is pronounced like an H.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, generally, words that have usually the letter J is usually going to be followed more often by, well, I don't want to get too complicated. J is pronounced like an H, okay? K is not a letter that you're really going to find, except, a really important word, kilo. That's pretty important. But when it comes to smuggling drugs across the border and everything into the United States. So that's a pretty key word, okay? Kilo. Repeat it. No, I'm just kidding. Kilo. So this letter is not really a traditional Spanish letter, but for words like kilo, it's used, okay? So you're not going to see K very much, but it's pronounced just like our letter K, okay? The letter L, pronounced just like our letter L, okay? Double L is pronounced like what? A Y sound. Hallado, right? Y el que no fue hallado escrito en el libro de la vida, right? You got that from the verse? Okay? M is pronounced the same as English. N is pronounced the same as English. O is pronounced basically always O, the long O sound. Okay? And then I skipped one. What was that other letter? The N with the tilde? It's like the N-Y and the word canyon. Okay? And then we've got, O we talked about. P is pretty much pronounced like a normal P. Q is always going to be found with a U after it in Spanish, and it's going to be pronounced like the hard K sound, just like a K, not Qu, but just K all the time. So that's going to be K.
Quesadilla.
Quesadilla, It's not, see, and the U, pretty much the U is not being pronounced. It's not part of a diphthong. That was a great example, okay? Queso. It's not queso, because, usually the UE would form a diphthong, right? But no, QU is like its own entity, okay? So this U does not count as a vowel, okay? This U is just part of the QU conglomeration, okay? Very good point. Because, you don't want to count that as a diphthong. It's not a diphthong. The word queso, the vowels that are being pronounced are the E and the O only. So it's just queso, okay? So that's Q. What comes next in the alphabet? No, I'm just kidding. R, okay? And then there's a double R in Spanish, which is the really thick rolling. Now, I cannot roll my R's. And you say, oh, Pastor Anderson, it's easy. I'll show you after the service. Hey, I've been trying to roll my R's for over 10 years, okay? I've become fluent in German, cannot roll my R's. Completely learned the Spanish language, cannot roll the R's. I've learned Hungarian, Romanian, cannot roll my R's. Don't try to show me how to do it, okay? Because look, it's too late for me. Young people, kids, it's not too late for you. You can still learn. But when I didn't start learning any foreign languages really until I was 17 years old. And I can speak 5 languages right now, but I've never learned any until I was 17, okay? So by the way, it's not too late, to start learning a language. But when you start learning when you're 17, you're never going to be able to pronounce things like a native speaker. You're never going to sound like you were born there. But that's not my goal, to sound like I was born there. My goal is to communicate effectively and clearly. And so if I don't sound like a native, that's fine with me. I just want to be able to communicate clearly and effectively. You don't need to roll your R in order to communicate. Now, you might sound like a gringo, but you're not going to have to roll your R. Now, especially on this one, nobody's going to know the difference hardly on this one. Now, on the double R, if you can do it, great. Who can roll your R's? Put up your hand if you know how to roll those R's. Let's hear it.
Morón.
What'd you call me? No, I'm just kidding.
Morón. You know what that means? No.
I don't know. Call me a moron or something? Anyway, and then S is always going to be your hard S sound, right? So the good thing is, so far, if you notice that these letters all only make one sound. And the ones that make 2 sounds, like the C and the G, they have a rule telling you if it's A, O, or U, it's hard. If it's I or E, it's soft. The rest of them only make one sound. S only makes, it doesn't make a Z sound like it does in English sometimes. It's always a hard S. T, same as English. Okay? U is oo, always. V is pronounced more like our B sound, if anything. It's pronounced more like a B than anything. Okay? W is not something that you're going to see. Okay? Not a letter in Spanish. And then VWX. X is not something that you're going to see except in older words, historic words, maybe place names. Like, have you ever heard of this place? Mexico, okay? The X is pronounced like the J in Spanish, which is the H sound, okay? Like, so let's see, the X, Y we talked about is pronounced exactly like the letter I. It's known as E griega, Greek I. And then the Z always makes a hard S sound. And then one that I failed to mention, CH, makes the same sounds as English. Ch. You know, muchacho. Okay? Chico. Same thing. Now, let's test. Who wants a really hard word to test your ability? Who wants to tackle it? Put up your hand. And I want you to volunteer before I show you what it is. So, now, let's say you're looking at a map, and you, this is going to be a hard one, because we know the diphthongs, we got the accents, we got the syllables, we got the letter sounds, we got this figured out. So let's say you're looking at a map, and you see this place on the map, and you don't want to sound like you don't know what you're talking about, okay? Alright, now that's a town in Mexico, okay? Now, you should, with what I just taught you, know how to pronounce that word. Now that's a hard word, right? That's pretty tough. So what's the first thing we look at? What's the last letter? Is the accent going to be on the last syllable or the second to last?
Second to last.
Second to last. How many syllables do we have? Three. I almost said how to pronounce it. Okay, there's our division into syllables, okay? This is known as what?
Diphthong.
A diphthong. Two vowels put together with no accent mark. They're pronounced together as one, okay? So, who wants to try it? Who wants to try it? Solomon, come on up here, son. Solomon, can you tackle this at age 7?
I think I can.
Okay.
I was trying to.
Just go ahead and say it, son. Spit it out.
Oaxaca.
Now wait a minute. That was not much of a diphthong, son. They got to be run together like a diphthong. You're very
It's
close.
really hard to just run together with that kind of a weird word.
Okay, try to run it together.
Oaxaca.
Okay, very good, son. You're pretty close. Okay, but listen. When you're running these together, you still didn't run it together enough. When you run OA together, it's almost like this. Wa. Okay? Just like when you run UE together in muerte, it's almost like spelled like our word way. You know, muerte. It's almost like the letter W. Do you understand? In the English language. So, this word is pronounced Oaxaca. Oaxaca.
There's a restaurant called that.
Yes, you've eaten there. You should have known.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't know it's pronounced like that.
Oaxaca. Okay? But you can see how it's easy to figure out how any word is pronounced in Spanish, even a really difficult word like that. Okay? Now let's try another one. Here's another word. Okay, how do you pronounce that word?
Lapis.
Lapis. Okay? Now, normally, it's ending in a what? Consonant that's not an N or an S or another letter. It would go on the last syllable. Because the accent mark overrides those rules, it goes on the second to last. Okay, got it? So that's pretty much it for pronunciation. You pretty much have all the tools now to know how to pronounce every letter, every vowel, every diphthong. And remember, you got to run those diphthongs together. Way. UE is pronounced way. Wa. 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 Yay. Right? This is almost like yay. Okay? Yay. Cielo. Okay, you got that? The IE. And so forth. This is like pretty much ya. Okay? That's how you pronounce that right there. Ya. Okay? You got that? I know you just walked in. But so let's go ahead and we'll close out just by singing our song one more time. And then we'll be done.
It's like J-A-H, right? Yeah.
Pardon?
It's like J-A-H.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to sing our song one more time. Rey de mi vida, tú eres hoy, en ti mi gloria rey. Es por tu cruz que salvo soy, no te olvidaré. Después de tu Getsemaní, subiste a la cruz más cruel, todo sufriste tú por mí, yo quiero serte fiel. Más vi la luz amanecer de la eternidad, de mi Señor aparecer con inmortalidad. Después de tu Getsemaní, subiste a la cruz más cruel, todo sufriste tú por mí, yo quiero